Hey, this is the guy, and it's officially been done. Ink to paper, Tee and Ja'Marr Chase have gotten their deals done. They are now extended through the 2028 and 2029 season. That will be the main topic of this video. We're also going to be talking about Sam Hubbard's retirement, how his retirement might play an impact on this upcoming season. And what is next for the Bengals? Is it the Trey Hendrickson deal? Are they going to wait until the draft? That's what we'll also be talking about. So with that being said, make sure you hit that like button. Thanks for watching. This shit's the guy. Hey, this is the guy, and like I said, it's official. The Bengals have finally gotten their long-term contracts with their franchise wide receivers in Tee Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase. Chase's extension is for 4 years, $161 million, making him the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, which that is expected to change here soon. The market's always changing in the NFL, which is why the Bengals should have gotten the deal done a lot sooner. But it's finally done. I ain't complaining anymore. You know what else is done? The long-awaited extension of Tee Higgins. He has been franchise tagged the past 2 seasons after being eligible for a extension after that AFC Championship loss Chiefs, and now he's got his long-term deal. It is a 4-year, $115 million contract, making him the highest-paid wide receiver 2 in NFL league history. This marks the end of drama. You know, this has been a lot of back-and-forth controversy between the Bengals, Tee Higgins, Ja'Marr Chase, social media shots at the Bengals that Tee Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase have shot at the Bengals. But it's all over now. They can put that aside and focus on more important things like the offensive line, defensive line, etc., which we will talk about here in a minute. But it's over. And now that the deals are done, they can finally lock in. The Bengals have years and years to get a shot at the championship now. You have prime quarterback Joe Burrow, just came off, probably should have been an MVP. You have Ja'Marr Chase, Triple Crown wide receiver, and Tee Higgins with a career high in touchdowns, even though he missed about maybe 4 or 5 games this year. So now you have this run. The Bengals have about maybe 3-4 years, and I know Burrow said that the championship window is his whole career, but now the Bengals have about 4 or 5 years to get this done, because you have Ja'Marr Chase, Tee Higgins, and Joe Burrow under contract until 2028 or 2029, and that means that you have this year, next year, etc. It's just all on the front office now, which they haven't been treating this offseason at all, really, to be honest with you, when it comes to the Trey Hendrickson situation. Certain free agents, talking about, publicly negotiating with Ja'Marr Chase and Tee Higgins and publicly negotiating with Trey. That's not how the business you really want to get done. And I know it's, Katie Blackburn, she's really starting to, kind of point out there that they're not going to extend Trey Hendrickson, which we will talk about towards the end of the video. But drama's over, and we're all happy. The news came on a late night. I believe it might have been a Saturday or Sunday night. It was a night that nobody really anticipated a deal to be done at that time. But it was previously released per multiple reports that a deal has been done. They were just waiting till the perfect time to reveal it. And then Ja'Marr Chase and Tee Higgins revealed it. I believe the first source was Jordan Schultz, an insider for the NFL, and others. Wow. It's finally done. Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, Tee Higgins sticking together like Joe Burrow wanted. And let's not forget that he also wanted Mike Gesicki, who got his 3-year contract extension. Let's not forget, he also wants Trey Hendrickson. So, will the Bengals get that part done? Now, Sam Hubbard. Nobody expected this man to even be thinking about retirement, but yet he still pulled the card anyways. On March 5th, Sam Hubbard went to social media and announced that he will be retiring from the NFL officially. He's 29 years old and spent all of his career in Cincinnati, which is why the Bengals and Bengals fans, such as myself, have loved him for so long. So he was going to get cut. He was definitely going to get cut unless he was going to restructure a contract, which clearly he did not. He announced retirement instead. But Sam Hubbard, he is known for the Cincinnati Kid playoff run. Take a look.
Looking right around Huntley, he reaches, that ball's out, that's live! Back the other way, Sam Hubbard! The Cincinnati Kid! Hubbard's got a convoy! Chased by Andrews! At the 30, the 20, he will score!
The reason he was a cut candidate, there was multiple reasons. Number one, he wasn't performing as well as he was in years prior. Years prior to like the Super Bowl run, the run to the AFC Championship game. He wasn't at that level anymore where he could be a dual threat with Trey Hendrickson. The Bengals didn't really have anybody as a dual threat to aside from Trey Hendrickson. So he wasn't performing well. This was arguably probably the worst season of his career. He's coming off of a season-ending injury this year. He did something to his knee. It might have been an MCL tear or something similar to that. He injured it on a receiving touchdown from Joe Burrow against the Tennessee Titans and missed the remainder of the regular season. And like I said, he was going to be a cap casualty. So there were multiple reasons why he was going to get cut, but he decided to ultimately retire instead. And with that being said, it's probably, arguably, one of the most liked Bengals in their franchise history. You know, the Bengals have had many players like, A.J. Green, Giovanni Bernard, guys like that. They have loved. But, Sam Hubbard, in my opinion, is arguably probably the most likable and favorable Bengal of all time. And that's why it was kind of, I'm not going to say emotional, but it was kind of surprising that he's going to be gone. And it's going to be weird watching the Bengals play and not seeing him on the sideline or on the field alongside Trey Hendrickson and all of his other teammates. Sam Hubbard is probably one of the favorite players that I've ever watched on the Bengals because, he was a part of the Marvin Lewis era still. But Sam Hubbard's retirement, nobody expected it, but it came. Good luck with whatever you do, Sam Hubbard. Now, the big deal next. The Trey Hendrickson deal. That is a part of the what's next situation for the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson's deal. Team earlier in the season allowed Trey Hendrickson to look for a trade. And then Trey Hendrickson went to the public in certain interviews and said that he wants to be part of the Bengals organization. But, if they're going to allow him to look for a trade, he's going to look for a trade. So the Bengals are handling this situation as poor as you can imagine. Katie Blackburn said that Trey Hendrickson should be happy with what he has. You shouldn't say that. Number one, that is unnecessary to take it to the public like that. If you feel that way, make sure you tell Trey Hendrickson face to face that way. That way he knows how you feel. Trey Hendrickson even went on the Pat McAfee show and said that he has been extremely frustrated with how the Bengals organization, specifically Katie Blackburn, has been treating the situation. So a Trey Hendrickson deal, as of right now, is looking extremely unlikely and more of a trade. Wouldn't be surprised if he got traded on draft night elsewhere. But if a deal were to happen, Trey wants to be in Cincinnati. Like I said, he wants to help the team win, whether with the team or not. What does that mean? He said that he wants to help the team win. That means even if he's not on the team, he wants to get the draft picks to help the team win. He loves Cincinnati, and he said that he will always have a spot in the heart for Cincinnati, even though it's not even the team that drafted him. So, like I said, Bengals are treating this situation extremely poorly, as you probably could have imagined. Like I said, the Bengals front office is not exactly legitimate or anything, but the only situation that I see bad for the Bengals is that the deal would be around $35 to $40 million, and that is around Jamar Chase's contract. Now, one reason that Bengals fans are extremely frustrated is that they let Trey Hendrickson go. Trey Hendrickson was the only bright spot on this team. He had 17.5 sacks, was the sack leader he was the sack leader this year and was second, almost tied for first last year. So, and there's been multiple reports where Trey Hendrickson is going to hold out if he doesn't get a new contract. And that's not a given, but it's definitely a possibility per multiple reports. So what are the Bengals going to exactly do? Are you going to pay Trey Hendrickson or not? If you're not going to pay him, trade him for draft picks, players, things like that. The Bengals need to act fast on this, because if you don't act fast, it might get ugly pretty quickly. So with that being said, in this video, we talked about Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins deals, what that means for the team, and how it impacts them from the future and the present. We also talked about how the Sam Hubbard retirement impacts them for the future and present, the great Cincinnati kid. And the Trey Hendrickson deal, probably the biggest thing now, the biggest focus on the offseason for the Bengals. Will the deal get done or will it not? So that being said, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon, guys.